Hi everybody, Jennifer Blevins-Smith with Integral Clinic Solutions, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Navigating the Business of Medicine. Today I want to talk about third-party administrators, or TPAs as they're referred to. You may have not heard of this before, and maybe you have, or maybe you don't realize that's what these are considered once I start explaining what they are, and you're going to be like, oh, okay, I didn't know that's what they're called. Third-party administrators are a company that will be hired by an insurance company or a big employer that is self-insured to be the administrators of their insurance plans, their medical insurance plans. Basically, it's a third-party outsourced company that takes care of all the administrative burden for either big commercial insurance companies or, like I said, big companies who are self-insured and they need someone to take on all of that responsibility. Third-party administrators are usually a lot cheaper to use than going through a standard medical insurance company, or a medical insurance company finds it more affordable in their cost to outsource this project or this plan for themselves instead of bringing it in-house. Certain states have a lot of TPAs, or certain areas I should say, and then there are some areas that people are like, I've never heard of a TPA, or I don't ever deal with that. In Oregon, we have a lot of TPAs and they're growing. It is very frustrating, and it is also very hard to explain to patients exactly what a TPA is, because they will have an insurance card that will say Cigna, for instance. Cigna is very well known for using TPAs. So they will have a card that says Cigna on it, but the claims, the processing, the administrative side of all of it is done at a third party, a different company. And so when they see that you have to deal with that company, if it's with referrals or authorizations or communication regarding a bill, they don't understand why they're not talking to Cigna. We're not talking to Cigna, and we're dealing with this other company they've never heard of, they're unfamiliar with. It just adds to the already very complex system of healthcare, especially when it comes to the medical insurance. As one of my viewers has stated, it is a larger problem in small practices because you're trying to explain this to patients while you're trying to balance all of the other information that you're trying to communicate to them and duties that you need to do internally, and it just adds to the already very cumbersome workflows for especially small practices. The other thing that makes it difficult is trying to keep track of all of them. So you might have maybe heard of Beach Street, or First Health will sometimes use this. There's certain situations where you'll be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That's a third-party administrator. That's why I can't check eligibility through the insurance. That's why some of the electronic capabilities aren't available like they would be if you were dealing with actually Cigna or United Healthcare. And it isn't until you're kind of in those situations and you have to learn about those and how kind of they work, because it is a different kind of nuance, that you start kind of catching on to this in your area. So if you have that situation in your practice where patients' cards say Cigna, but then it says to send claims to someone you've never heard of before, or you're having to call to follow up on claims to somewhere you've never heard before, most likely they have a third-party administrator. It does make sense that employers who are self-funded and supply their employees with their own insurance, that they would have a TPA, because they would take on all of the compliance and regulatory administrative burdens that frankly the employers don't want to deal with, or maybe they don't want to hire someone that is specialized in that when there's already a company they can hire a vendor to take care of that for them. They have to make sure all of the Affordable Care Act stuff is being taken care of. You have to report certain things as an HR type company. It's just a lot. And so that's why they choose a TPA, because they do tend to be cheaper and offer different services than what a typical medical insurance company would do. If you have any questions about third-party administrators when it comes to medical insurance or what we call as TPAs, I would love to hear from you. So please leave that in the comments below. If you have a way of trying to track these, work with these in your area, and you can provide other viewers with some tips and tricks on how to keep everything situated, that would be very much appreciated as well. If you could leave that in the comments below too. And anything else that you want to mention regarding TPAs, like I said, they are growing. We are seeing more of them in Oregon. We're seeing more of them across the country. And of course, people who aren't familiar with them are going to be even more lost than us people who are used to them, and it keeps changing the landscape and we're trying to keep up. So don't feel bad if you're still confused, if you're not sure what to do. You know, they're usually very helpful. You can call them on the phone, you can ask the questions, and don't ever be afraid to ask questions until you understand. Write down those questions before you call. Be prepared to ask follow-up questions while you're on a call. And it's okay to not understand, but to figure it out with the right questions and contacting the right people. If this video seems helpful, I would really appreciate it if you would smash that thumbs up button today. And also, if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel. Also, usually you will have, as my viewers, other friends in the same healthcare field, and I would love if you could share my video with people who might feel it would be beneficial, or maybe are struggling or confused just like we always are. Don't ever feel like you're alone, because healthcare is difficult and it's always a new experience. You're always learning. If you're not, then you're probably doing something wrong. No, I'm kidding, but don't feel bad if you're confused often or you get frustrated. It is common across the board for most of us. Take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.